Hey guys, welcome to the video. So it was a crazy day in the market, for better or for worse. Mostly it was worse for our picks, but we're going to get through it and why I sold my biggest position in the market, and going to go through my thesis behind selling and what changed. And I'm going to go through some risk management methods and some hedging your portfolio methods as well. So let's get into the video. Alright, so as you guys know, I've been talking up Ideanomics nonstop, ticker symbol IDEX. So today, there's the interview this morning. I was watching the full interview. It looked very good. The CEO was very confident in the business and gave great responses. So I was still bullish this morning. Going into the afternoon, there was a lot of shorting. There's a lot of allegations against the company, which I'll get into. My thesis just changed. My thesis was based around the hype and the news that was coming out. And now that the hype changed into fear, it converted straight into fear. The trends of this stock are very negative now. So following these trends, you got to go with the market. You got to cut losses. Move on to the next opportunity. This is a big hype and excitement play, and now that the hype and excitement has just turned negative, we got to cut losses and move on to the next things. So that's what happened with my Ideanomics trade, and I'll be talking more about the company in just a second. So when the original Hindenburg research claim came out, this did not affect my thesis at all because they have a history. They were very negative against Tesla in the beginning. There's just a history of losses there. But reading into this further, I've been reading up on IDEX all day. I now have to believe that some of this may be true, and it's not worth the risk to hold such a large part of my portfolio in IDEX. So for that reason, I cut losses. And in the tweet, they explained that IDEX has a history of changing business models, pumping them up. The electric vehicle market, they played big on the electric vehicle market. They got into this at the perfect time, and they hyped investors up like crazy. I was playing this hype on IDEX, and it was very bullish. It was very bullish long-term, everything that I was reading. But now that negative news has come out, more negative news is surfacing more and more. So in this instance, it's not worth the hold short-term and potentially long-term. That's why I cut my positions. I don't know how this company is going to do long-term anymore just because all this news has surfaced. I was looking back into the past history of the business, and these things are true, and they do have a history of changing their business models all the time. So times like this, as an investor, you have to accept that your thesis is no longer valid. As my thesis was just based on hype and news potential, I was playing the hype and the news potential surrounding the potential deal with Tesla, potential deal with Electromechanica, and a lot of rumors surrounding the potential deal with Amazon. So if this news surfaced, this stock would have like doubled, tripled. So that was what I was playing on this. And now that things are surfacing, bad news is coming out, this company is getting a ton of bad press. There's a big Twitter account, Yates Investing. He was hyping this up a ton, and news came out that he potentially had a deal with them to keep hyping it up so they can rise the stock price and potentially have an offering and get a lot of money. So now we don't know if any of this is true, but it doesn't matter in the social research landscape because people are believing this, and we just got to go with the flow of investors' minds. And at this point, we cannot bag hold this stock for the long term and keep on thinking we have a long-term play, which we potentially do. I do love this company long-term, but the fact that this news is coming out, the short-term play is pretty much gone. And all these fraud allegations, all this changing in the business model, in my opinion, is no longer worth the risk and reward, and the risk is way too high to keep on bag holding this one. Hindenburg research also surfaced that this company has had 6 different CEOs, 6 different CFOs, and 10 different board members leave, and that's only since 2015. So this is not a very steady business. My thesis behind this, I looked into this before, my thesis was, oh, they finally found their guy, they finally found the traction they needed, and this guy's very smart, he's a very good CEO, he knows how to hype up the company. But just reading further into this and seeing the other side, you always got to see both sides, and looking at the other side, the negative effects are much more than the positive, and it's just scary to bag hold a stock that has potential to keep on dropping like this one. I saw this tweet from Hindenburg Research today that came out, and they were just saying that's a fraud. There's a timestamp of 2020, so it's kind of a fake news, a fake time, and stuff like this just confirms that this company is a possible fraud, and companies like this, it's just not smart to bag hold them with the risk. There's a photo displaying the same exact cars in the same exact location that was in 2018 that they used as a 2020 picture, saying this was new, that Hindenburg Research brought up, and that scared me a ton as well. Just the fact that this company does seem like a fraud, seeing the other side of this. And yeah, it's just super scary to hold as an investor and as a trader. And risk management is one of the biggest things I preach. Once you have a thesis, stick with it. But once that thesis gets destroyed, or once news comes out to ruin that thesis, you got to sell out, you got to cut losses immediately. So in this instance, that is what we had to do. There was also shown Photoshop, Hindenburg Research brought up, and this definitely does look true. And stuff like this, looking at it through my eyes, I can just see how other people would buy into this, and potentially this fraud allegations could be false. This research company is heavily shorting this one, so they are trying to play and trying to get this negative press out there. So that is why they're doing this, but at the same time, it does look true, honestly, and you just can't hold a company like that. Also, some deals that IDEX made an investigator went out and talked to the companies that made the deal with Ideanomics, and they found out that the companies were not aware of this. Now, I don't know if this is true once again, but just the fact this news is out there and this negative press release, we gotta stay away at this point and cut losses and just move on. Like I've been saying, it's just too scary to keep on holding. IDEX has a history of pumping and dumping, and my thesis was that they finally got their traction, they finally found the right business model, but you gotta manage your risks, you gotta figure out what's real and what's not real, and at this point, what the social research aspect is saying for me is just the negative trends are too much. So I sold my full position on IDEX. The good thing was I only had about 10% loss on this, so it wasn't too big of a loss, but it still is a substantial loss because it was such a large position in my portfolio. But at times like these, it's not good to have the sunk cost theory, which is you start losing money and you say, oh, I can't sell now because I've lost so much already, I couldn't possibly lose more. And when that happens, you could lose even more. And then the next day you could say, oh, I can't cut now because it's just dropped even more and it's going to go up sometime. And the fact is, sometimes these stocks never go back up. And the history behind these companies like this is just not good, and the fraud allegations are very scary. And yeah, once a thesis changes, you have to change your mindset, which is something that I always preach. You sell a stock whenever you lose information about the market, and you sell a stock whenever your thesis is no longer valid. And I believe that the market is believing what this company is saying, and yeah, it's just not worth the risk in my opinion. So yeah, very rough day for Ideanomics. Ticker symbol IDEX. We had to cut losses, move away, and move on to the next opportunity. As investors, you can't fall in love with a stock. You gotta move on. You can date stocks, never fall in love, never get married to stocks. You just always have to have an updated mindset. And the emotional side of investing is one of the most important things you can do as an investor. So if you're holding IDEX, I'm sorry about the losses, do your own due diligence. If you still believe in this company long term, it could be a big hold, it could have success still. These allegations could be false. But you gotta do your own research as an investor. You gotta figure out, is this worth my risk? Is this worth the reward to buy into for me? And personally, it was not worth the risk to hold in for myself. But as an investor, you make your own decisions and you figure out your own theses. And if your thesis is destroyed or if your thesis is still valid long term. So those are my full thoughts on Ideanomics, ticker symbol IDEX. Very rough day for the company. And yeah, just always stay up to date with the market and do so much research nonstop, and make sure to see the other side of things. Look into all these allegations all the way, read every press release you can find, and these are just things you have to do as an investor and as a trader to manage your risk tolerance. So we had a bunch of losses today with IDEX, but we also have some successes, and I have some new ideas of what to do in the market, and I'll have a video out later on all the opportunities coming tomorrow. But I just wanted to update you guys on my IDEX position and let you guys know when you should sell a stock, and if your thesis has changed, what you should do, how quick you should sell a stock, and how to manage your risk. You always have to stay up to date and personally research all you can. Find out, and doing the social research aspect of all this, you just got to figure out what your thesis is and if it is worth the risk and reward for yourself. We have some big opportunities coming up in the market as well, some big plays that I'm thinking about making, and I'll let you guys know in the next video. Please subscribe if you liked the video, and leave me a comment of your thoughts on IDEX, and if you think these allegations are false, or if you're buying into this as well, and if you cut losses as well, let me know. And yeah, sometimes you just gotta cut losses and move on to the next opportunity in the market, and move on as an investor and get ready. If you want 2 free stocks on Webull, the link is down below. One is valued from $14 to $1,400. I believe that offer ends at the end of June, so I do recommend you get your 2 free stocks now. Pretty much the worst you can do is $20. So $20 free, you can't go wrong with that. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you guys found this video very informative. Keep on researching all you can, keep on doing all your due diligence, and just keep on working as an investor, improving and learning lessons, and never get discouraged with losses, because you can move on and find the next opportunity, and don't miss out on those. So I hope you all enjoyed, and let's get rich.